Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR Today. We're in May. It's May Day, May the 2nd, 2022. The man they call Meathead, the road warrior, the road weary, Linda K. Linda, how was the road weekend?
It was tremendous. I covered a lot of miles and saw a lot of smiling faces. At a show
Nice.
outdoors, our pay-per-view indoors, and it's gonna be May.
I love May because they say April showers and May flowers. It used to always be in Wisconsin. April snow showers equals May to June flowers. So we've been hovering around that 40s and 50s area. So we haven't gotten snow in a while, and I'm hoping that we are done seeing snow until November or December because I'm ready for the summertime.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I know we'll get into it here, but I was actually in Louisville this weekend for our Derby City Destruction pay-per-view, and it was 80 degrees. So it was quite a stretch when I
Well,
came
tell
back to
us.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, exactly. Well, tell us the whole thing. You can tell us about our sponsor in a bit. We want to hear about Louisville.
Oh, we had a great lead up to our pay-per-view this month. So, we had our TV Thursday night, and then we had a special show it was part of Derby Fest. And
Okay.
Meathead, for those who don't know, Derby Fest, it's an annual festival
And
in
the
Louisville
Derby's this weekend
because
down in
yeah,
Louisville, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
know. Well, it's this upcoming Saturday, but
Yeah.
it's a festival right along the river there, rides, food, bands, and well, OVW right there in the riverfront in the park there on the grass. So
Nice.
the ring was set up. The weather was great. We had a great crowd who came in to see our OVW stars. So that was just really cool. It just felt like the kickoff to summer, a summer tour, if you will. And then Saturday night, I had the honors of ring announcing our pay-per-view, Derby City Destruction. A lot of title matches, lots of shenanigans.
Oh,
If you guys haven't caught it yet, you can still catch the replay on Fight TV. It was fun. Another hot crowd in the house at the
good.
historic Davis Arena.
Well, that's fantastic. And again, I love hearing the escapades and the shenanigans on the road with Linda K. That's fantastic. But hey, when you're out on the road, even if you're presenting yourself in front of a crowd or if you're in the car driving back and forth with maybe a kid with a fanny pack, what are you wearing?
You would be wearing collar and elbow. Now, with the various weather changes I experienced in a short time span, I had my collar and elbow uh, rain jacket, my
Okay.
thin windbreaker, I should say. I had a collar and elbow tank top. I drove home in my collar and elbow t-shirt. I slept in my collar and elbow t-shirt.
Do
So
you
if
have
you,
a collar and arrow elbow babushka?
I do not.
Oh,
But if you too want to have a variety of collar and elbow gear, make sure to go to collarandelbowbrand.com and to save 10% off your order, use promo code LindaK. That's LINDAKAY.
now the true question is, folks, listeners and Linda K alike, do you know what a babushka is?
I can't picture it right now. I should know. The word's familiar.
It's a
Being
very
from
Polish
Milwaukee,
word.
I
Yep,
should be
it's a
from
very Polish
Milwaukee.
word. Um, Picture plastic on the top of a little lady's head going to church. Those little covers that they had so they didn't mess up their hair.
The
A babushka,
rollers. Okay.
not the rollers. The little cover. So that it's like an umbrella that's stapled to your
Like a
head.
kerchief almost
Sure, something like
material
that.
material
Yep,
over your head. I got you. I do
a
not have a
babushka.
collar and elbow babushka to answer your question.
We need to talk to Carrie. We need that collar and elbow babushka, for all the because again, I don't know if you guys ever think about this. Who got you into wrestling, Linda? I know that you watched it as a kid. I watched it as a kid, but it was my grandmother, my little babushka, who got me into watching wrestling, and she was the stereotypical 1950s, 1960s lady that would hit the heels with her purse. So yeah, grandma loved her some Crusher, loved her some the Bruiser and the Vashans, all of those. So yes, we need a collar and elbow babushka. Let's talk a little bit of news. We're kind of burying the lead here, but we got to get into it. It happened on Friday, and now we're talking about it Monday morning here. Releases from WWE. It's become a somewhat regular thing to talk releases. Now, this specific section of releases is all NXT talents. Let's run down the names here. Parker Boudreaux, otherwise known as Harland, who was hanging around with Joe Gacy. We've also got Persia Perota, Sanjay George, a.k.a. Vish Kanye, Draco Anthony, Mila Milani, Raylan Devine. They also joined Malcolm Bivens and Dakota Kai. And probably the biggest name that was released that I believe was the biggest name, Dexter Lumis. Linda, your thoughts on the releases from NXT?
A lot of surprises there, and big surprises, especially as you mentioned, Dexter Lumis, and just the whole thing that was going on with him and Indy and Persia, who was now released with Duke Hudson. They had a fun thing going there. I felt a possible tag team happening between Dexter and with Duke Hudson. That surprises me. And then of course Persia, she was in a tag team as well. She was part of that whole storyline. So that was surprising to hear. Dakota Kai, who's been a top star in NXT for many years. And I said this to you and Matthew offline, Malcolm Bivens, that one was a big surprise to me as well, just because Diamond Mine, I mean, personally, one of my favorite factions there in NXT, but also just a great mouthpiece. And also, there's stuff going on in Diamond Mine right now that I felt he would have been a big part of as far as continuing what's going on. That was a big surprise to me as well. I mean, it's funny because not funny, but ironic, I should say, that when me and Matthew were doing our first NXT recap last week, we were
Wednesday
talking
morning.
about,
Yep.
yeah, we were talking about Gacy, and I said to him offline, I'm like, what happened to Harlan? And I was like, there was a thing where him and Gacy were talking to Draco Anthony, and that whole thing with them trying to get him to join them, and
right,
and then I see this report, I'm like, oh, maybe something, I'm not sure, but yeah, I've said this to you, I do really enjoy NXT, so I was just surprised to see some of those releases there.
Yeah, it's tough, and to be honest, I mean, Diamond Mine's done. I absolutely, I believe they're done. Roddy might still be around. He might be wrestling as a singles, just Roderick Strong by himself. Unfortunately, I think the girl's done, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Ivy. Ivy Nile, I think it is. I think the Creed brothers stay, and I think they're just the Creed brothers by themselves, and there's no more Diamond Mine. I think they're in new gear. I feel that this is just the beginning. Here we are. We're talking May 2nd, and this is the first releases since WrestleMania. Normally, we had those releases about a week or two right after. So I feel that there's some main roster releases coming up soon. Any speculation, Linda? Who do you think might be on the chopping block?
Man, I honestly, I have not even gotten that far.
I've got a female name that's on the top of my head, and I really don't want her to go. I think that there's room for her to work. If you would give her a TCB tank back and let her be a face again, I think there's room for Shotzi. But Shotzi was just, and we'll get to SmackDown in a second, she was just used in a beat the clock challenge. So there was no way she was winning that match. I think that if you're not going to use her, let her go and do something else.
Yeah, I really like Shotzi.
I do too. And I think Shotzi's an amazing talent. So let's continue on and let's talk about SmackDown. So SmackDown from last Friday night, it had some pretty big news coming out of it. Linda, first off, we're going to jump ahead, and I want you to tell me about the competitor for Raquel Rodriguez, one of our friends, in her SmackDown debut. She debuted against somebody else debuting on SmackDown.
Yes, on SmackDown, it was Kat Cardoza, I believe, was the name for her. That also is our OVW Women's Champion, also known as Layla Gray, the tremendous Layla Gray, who that was, so great to see her on that big stage on SmackDown. Wonderful job in that match with Raquel Rodriguez.
How amazing was that? Now, you had asked the question, again, we don't like pulling the curtain back too far, right? But you asked, how can we see Kat Cardoza on Friday night when there was other things going on? Linda, I don't know if you realized, the SmackDown crew was in Europe. So, I mean, that's quite possible. It's one of those Rick Rude on TV, at the same time in 3 different shows type deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It happens. But let's start off. Let's start off with what happened at the top of the show. And this was the blow off. This was the end. They weren't saving this for the main event. It was time now. Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn in a steel cage. And finally, we had a definitive winner.
Yeah. I'm really surprised at how great of a match it was in some of those spots. Like that superplex off the top of the cage, off the top
Love
rope.
It.
Wow. I mean, that was something I would expected to see from a cage match from Drew and Sammy at a pay-per-view. What a great way to kick off SmackDown.
Madcap Moss, he invades, excuse me, Happy Talk to get redemption on Happy Corbin. I love that they're still working, they're still on TV, and they're still doing things. I just don't know what the finish is for this. I don't know where the end result is. But right now, Happy and Madcap on TV, and really Madcap's got an amazing look. I just hope that he doesn't become one of those, big brand, Raw and SmackDown brand cuts.
Yeah, I like Madcap Moss. I mean, when he finally got his hands on Happy Corbin, that took place at SmackDown in Milwaukee, and the crowd in Milwaukee loved Madcap. He got a huge reception for that. I do enjoy his shenanigans in a good, funny way. I missed the jokes while they were cheesy. I love those jokes. I love.
Well, I'm into dad
you
jokes
too.
Yeah, I'm definitely into dad jokes. Yeah.
But great look, great talent. I hope he does remain strong. And as far as what happens between him and Happy Corbin, he's gotta get one over on Happy, right? I mean,
he's got to get one eventually. Hey, let's go back to Raquel Gonzalez defeating Kat Cardoza in her SmackDown debut. I noticed it in the backstage stuff that she had been doing. I noticed it when she was in the ring, and it's something that I wouldn't say ragged, or it's something I complained about with Ronda Rousey. Raquel is smiling all the time. Here's where I'm going to sound like a hypocrite, but I'm not. Hear me out. I don't have a problem with Raquel smiling, because you know what? When she got attacked, her smile went to like a serious tone where she was going to battle and she was going to fight. I believe her smile. I believe she's happy. I think Ronda's is a little different. I think Ronda's feels forced. So again, I know I sound like a hypocrite when I say this, but I don't have an issue with Raquel and the smiles. But when she got attacked Bell, and then went ahead and had her actual match against Kat Cardoza, she dominated.
Yeah, and I think just hearing and seeing interviews that Raquel's done on the bump, for example, that is her. She just seems so happy and grateful at this opportunity. And this was even when she was a heel at NXT.
Right.
What you had her in an interview. I mean, it was shoot Raquel. Like, she was just happy and smiling, and it made me love her even more. So seeing her on here on the big stage, as I said once again, and doing her thing, I think it's great. I think she will go far. I hope that they keep elevating her, and if they are going to have her smile all the time, let's let it be a thing. When her face turns,
that's okay.
She's going to hurt you.
It's like ringing a bell and turning festive face into just an attack mode. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Did you see that at the tailgate that we were at? A bunch of people came by and said, "Hey, Meathead," and then they rang a bell and I went, "Rah!" Ding! All right, I was back again. We're in my collar and elbow Festus phase. The Universal Champion Roman Reigns basically destroyed the match for the pay-per-view this coming Sunday. There was supposed to be a tag team unification match between RK Bro and the Bloodline, the Usos. That's over. Paul Heyman came back and said, "You know what? I think it's a 6-man tag." So now, Linda, I want your opinion on the unification match for the tag team titles. Should it still be happening? Should they have changed it? And what do you think will happen from here?
It's been promoted for weeks now.
Heavily.
Again, another surprise that it's no longer happening. And I think that, since we had the heavyweight Universal Championship
unification, yep,
we should have just continued along that trend, because it seemed like we were going that direction where it's going to be, it doesn't have to be one total show where
you have the same. So let me ask you this:
the champions on both shows. I know you've discussed this with Matthew, and we've discussed it too. So I thought maybe we're going to go along, that line, because that's what we've been seeing, and they've had the guys in both shows. So it was a big, not just a surprise, but a shock. Let
me ask you this: did they make this change because they had zero faith in Shinsuke Nakamura? Because remember, Shinsuke was the one that came out against Roman and was lined up to have a title match with him at WrestleMania Backlash. What happened to Shinsuke? Did he get hurt? Did they just not have faith in him to sell tickets? I mean, what happened there?
Legit, just put that into my head. I didn't even really.
Right, they walked away from it. Yeah.
I'm going to assume maybe he's hurt because, again, that show in Milwaukee is where that initial tease happened with
Right.
Nakamura and Reigns. And now we have Drew coming out, which I was thinking down the line, I should say, that I would like to see Drew and the current head of the table, Roman Reigns, face one another. But yeah, Drew McIntyre did come out later. And obviously now we have the 6-man tag set up. Wow. Say card subject to change, Meathead.
Card subject to change. Let's talk main event. Ronda Rousey defeats Shotzi in the Beat the Clock I Quit challenge match. Ronda Rousey beat Shotzi in 1 minute and 41 seconds. And honestly, she was goofing around at the beginning. Charlotte unable to beat Aaliyah in 1 minute and 41 seconds and wins the challenge.
I kind of figured it would go this way.
Oh, absolutely.
Then that it would be close to the end as well, where she would lose it just by a couple seconds. But
yeah, she tapped out after the timer went off. Yep.
And I know you and Matthew mentioned, like, you guys discussed this, I should say, last Friday's show, what are we going to do with Backlash being 2 weeks away? What's going to take place at Smackdown tonight? Well, we knew that about the Beat the Clock I Quit challenge, but this was just another thing where you still had Ronda and Charlotte within close vicinity, but no physicality. I would assume then this upcoming week, we're finally going to get them face to face and touching once again, hitting each other once again, to lead into their match on Sunday. But I guess my takeaway from this as well is continuation of Charlotte and Drew Gulak.
Well, Drew Gulak was the timekeeper
of him. Yeah, I know. I mean, I like that. It's been very entertaining.
That makes sense. And to be honest, it's more entertaining than Charlotte and Ronda.
Yeah. It was very entertaining, Meathead.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. So I don't think they need to have Charlotte beat on Drew Gulak again this upcoming week, because it should be her and Ronda.
But he might be a referee this coming time. I mean, if I'm booking, I mean, it's going to be something along those lines. So, all right, let's move over to Rampage. And again, probably the fastest hour of wrestling on TV. I mean, the most jam-packed hour, 4 matches plus a confrontation. I mean, let me just run this off real quick before we go through it. It had Samoa Joe and Trent Beretta. It had Swerve Strickland and Darby Allin. It had Colton Gunn versus Keith Lee. It had a 6-woman tag, the Baddies, taking on Willow Nightingale, Trish Adora, and Sky Blue. And it had a confrontation between Hook and Danhausen. Here we go. The show opens up again. They don't open up when entrances on Rampage because they got to go right away. 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. They are ready to compete. It's an Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament qualifier match. Darby Allin with Sting taking on Swerve Strickland. Now, a little distraction, or an intended distraction, by Ricky Starks from commentary. Sting stops it. Darby Allin gets a roll up on Swerve Strickland. I am loving this tournament. Linda, I know that you get to watch some of it, you get to hear some of it, but this was an amazing match.
Yeah. And the way that you had Ricky Starks interfering, but not actually having to get into the ring to make Swerve lose, or not make, but assist the loss, I guess.
Yeah.
I should say that was really interesting as well. But I did like the backstory about how both Swerve and Darby
from the Northwest.
Yeah, and that they are friends. They know each other well, and it wasn't
an
ROH match, but they showed their respect. They shook their hands, and we saw them later on talking even more. But yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed that as well. And yeah, so now I'm excited. Little Swerve, a little Ricky Starks. I know that's already been something starting, but we're getting closer to getting them together as well.
Normally I wouldn't stop on this, but I want to talk about it. Sean Spears backstage talking about coming up on Dynamite this week. Sean Spears will no longer have Wardlow's back because, again, MJF on Dynamite this last week teased somebody that's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that to take on Wardlow this Wednesday on Dynamite. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, unless something happens, be it a COVID protocol or an injury or a plane flight or something like that, Wardlow's going to be taking on W. Morrissey.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sean Spears also mentioned 7 foot tall opponent for him. Yeah. That's going to be
and you can't teach that.
A huge debut for him to take place.
That forbidden door is swinging open again.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I did actually after Wednesday night? I went onto YouTube and I watched a bunch of Enzo and Big Cass promos because you know what? Those guys were lightning in a bottle. I wish Enzo would have not had it happen to him what happened to him during that time. I don't think they needed to break him up as soon as they did because remember, they took Enzo off of Big Cass, made Cass a heel, and then they had a one-on-one match there. That was lightning in a bottle. But Enzo is what Enzo is. Enzo was like a Miz for a newer generation. Basically, Enzo had gotten kicked out of the locker room for a while, because Enzo was just Enzo. I don't want to say good or bad or indifferent of it. Enzo was being Enzo. So, but what they were doing with Enzo was gold. That guy could talk on a mic, and if you go back and look at those promos, he was working with the top tier guys. He had matches with Cena, matches with Miz. He was working with all those guys. So, W. Morrissey this Wednesday night taking on Wardlow.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to a lot of WWE live events with the two of them there and just the interaction.
Crowd's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Crowd was hot.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris Jericho awarded his weekly Chris Jericho Sports Entertainer of the Week to, himself for the fireball on Eddie Kingston. You know what? I've been saying this over and over. Now that Chris Jericho's heel, I don't know if he necessarily should be on commentary, but I don't care. It's fine. He's doing fine. And you know what? That commentary booth is already, overloaded with people. There's 4, sometimes 5 people doing commentary. I mean, you got Excalibur, you got Ricky Starks, you got Taz, you got Jericho. Sometimes Mark Henry comes out. Sometimes JR is out there. Sometimes Tony's out there. And they're all sitting at a card table. That's not even a commentary booth. They're literally at a card table and there's 3 monitors. And if they got 5 people there, good grief. But you know what? I still enjoy listening to Jericho.
Man, Jericho, I mean, so hilarious. So can I just start by saying the fireball? I have not seen a fireball in pro wrestling television in years.
Yeah, it's flash paper, but it's still effective.
But we've got that. And at OVW, we had that take place on our dear friend Dustin Jackson not too long ago either. So I'm just kind of like, seeing that again, I'm like, I just didn't realize I would see fireballs.
Fireballs are back.
Yeah, so with frequently, and so within one another. Anyways, Jericho awarding himself the Sports Entertainer of the Week, hilarious. But then I meant to laugh at Santana slapping the headset off him. That was just funny. Like
it was the whole thing was so Santana slapped the headset off of him, and then Ortiz stood at the side and said, "No, we're busy here. Nobody buy." Yeah. The security guys had to show him their badge. Hold on, I work here. Get out of the way. What was the deal with that? It's funny. So Santana, Jericho, yeah.
Then you have Jericho back at the desk just throughout the episode saying, like when Keith Lee came out, he's like, "Oh, all these compliments for him. Does his feet smell good too?" He's like, "I just got slapped in the."
Right.
If you hear that, yeah, great.
Yeah. Santana Jericho this Wednesday on Dynamite. I was not for it until this last Friday night. Jade Cargill, Kiera Hogan, and Red Velvet, the baddies. That entrance, holy shit.
Yeah.
That is a star main event entrance. Wow.
Yes, and Jade Cargill already top. Okay, one of the top stars of the women's division. I was going to say the top of the women's division, but then again, we have Thunder Rosa as the women's champion, but we have Jade Cargill as the TBS champion, but in her own right, one of the top women of their division. But having that entrance and the way they presented it, it just puts her even on an even higher level. Just having Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet there, they just all looked great. They were in sync. It looked gorgeous. They looked gorgeous. So
I popped for it. And again, like I said, I've not been a huge Jade Cargill fan. I'm not against her at all, right? But oh my God, those are stars.
Didn't that make you just even like her more, or just feel
it did?
It did. Yeah.
It did. It was amazing. And the name the baddies and the way they came out and just they hit it, boom, boom. Oh my God, that was amazing. All right, so they win their match. Yes.
You need to be in the baddie section. Just saying when Dynamite comes here.
That's right. I'll wear a wig. I'll wear a wig. It'll be okay. I'll put it on. I'll wear whatever you need me to wear.
Who feels, they went through like what makes you a baddie. It's open to anybody.
Right.
As they said.
Limitless Keith Lee defeats Colton Gunn, and that is Colton Gunn's first singles loss.
Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, Keith Lee where he is limitless. I definitely felt this one was when he was going to come on top,
I
and then
feel
that
that,
momentum for him.
yeah, I feel that he was getting lost in the shuffle. I think Keith Lee really needs to be up a little bit higher in the mix. All right. The thing I was looking forward to, I know it's the thing Matthew was looking forward to, and I assume that you were looking forward to it as well. Danhausen came straight out to the ring and he called out Hook. Without further ado, without further ado, send Hook. Wow. I mean, I didn't know I could do the Danhausen voice, but I'm not bad. It's close. It's not a match. It's not a fight. It's a face-to-face confrontation. Hook got into Danhausen's face, and Dan goes, perhaps we should do this another time. Hook spoke and said, we're doing this right now. Linda, should Hook have spoke?
Yes and no, I feel. This was their first face-to-face officially. So, yeah, I wouldn't have wanted a lot of words from Hook, but I was okay with just a little bit, just as we know, hey, he speaks, he talks, he has some vocality, if you will. But I think personally you felt you didn't want that, right? You wanted to see it lead up.
I want to come in and fight, beat up people, and leave. Yeah.
Okay.
But at the end of the segment, they're chanting Hookhausen. Is this a tag team coming?
I don't want that yet, and here's why.
Okay. Tell me.
This is the first major. It's not even it could be a feud. It's technically a feud because it's in the end. There's a hopes of a match between Hook and Danhausen, but that seemed to have changed a bit once we finally got this face to face with the crowd. Keep in mind, this was Philadelphia. I don't know if the crowd in the next city would feel the same way.
Right.
I want to see this match because they're pretty evenly in size. Just getting them that face to face.
I think they match up really good.
Right. I want to see more what Danhausen can do physically. I know.
I want to see Danhausen wrestle.
Yeah. So right now it seems like Hook would totally whoop him, but I think they can still lead up to this. I want Hook. Let's not put Hook in a tag team right away. That's what I was trying to get at. Like he's such on this rocket ship. I want to see him excel as a solo singles star right now.
Well, his skills are very, very good and very, very evil. Maybe Danhausen puts a curse on Hook, and then maybe Hook is his tag team partner. Who knows? But let's talk about the main event. Ring of Honor World TV title match. The champion, Samoa Joe, took on Trent Beretta. And you know what? Shaking of the hands, the code of honor, and a shaking of the hands at the end of the match. I'm absolutely loving that not only did Ian Riccoboni join on the commentary, but their ring announcer, and his name escapes me for the moment here, but their Ring of Honor ring announcer is calling off the matches. It just feels so Ring of Honor. I think they're really treating Ring of Honor with the respect it deserves. I don't know how much longer I want it on here. I need Ring of Honor to be their own thing. If I want to go watch Ring of Honor, I'll go watch Ring of Honor. But right now they're taking over a match slot on Dynamite and a match slot on Rampage. That's fine for right now for me.
Do you think it could, for right now, if they don't get a different TV deal for it, it's possibly another YouTube show within the AEW realm?
Or they take over, the main event of a Dynamite or a Rampage once a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's just, at least for right now, I think it's good to have that in the mix just because we're having our current top AEW talents in the mix with the ROH titles.
Yeah, they got one feud really going on right now, and it's the feud between Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh. And by the way, I didn't know I wanted it, but Orange Cassidy,
I do.
And Satnam Singh, that I wanted it. I didn't know I wanted it, but the second I saw it coming, I'm like, yep, that's what I need. Go ahead, go right up to him. Put your hands in your pocket, start kicking them.
That looked crazy. And I know that it was on the ramp, but still, that looked crazy. Just the size difference there, my goodness. But yeah, I you know what I didn't mention last week. Sorry, I in relation to this, but kind of digressing. Jay Lethal, just in person, what a great guy. I know he's this heel right now in AEW, but he's just every time I've seen him, I'm just such a pleasant person and great to work with him last week at that BTW show because he was facing Penta and yeah. So, anyways, I digress. But just when I heard Jay Lethal's music and just like how the crowd popped at that show, I was just like, oh, That's all.
Absolutely abuse it. So here's what's already booked for Dynamite this coming Wednesday. Bobby Fish and Jeff Hardy in another qualifying match for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. That's a match that I don't think we've ever seen before. I don't think Bobby and Jeff have ever worked in the ring together. That's amazing, unless there was some Ring of Honor stuff that Jeff Hardy did off to the side. Wardlow with, again, we're calling it W. Morrissey. Another Ring of Honor match. This time it's the Women's Championship match. Champion versus champion. There's an interim champion and the real champion. ROH Women's Champion Deonna Purrazzo, that Forbidden Door, is swinging again against the ROH Women's Interim Champion Mercedes Martinez. The AFO's Butcher Blade and Helico taking on the Blackpool Combat Club. This may be the toughest test for the Blackpool Combat Club yet. Jericho and Santana, and there's more to come.
Always a stacked card on Dynamite.
I think they're running through a lot of dream matches, but they've got so many more they can do. If they would just slow down a little bit and maybe build towards this pay-per-view. Because remember, the pay-per-view is at the end of the month.
Yes, that is
and
right.
Speaking,
yes, thank you. Go ahead, Meathead.
I was going to say, speaking of pay-per-views, and speaking of points, and speaking of fantasy drafts, Linda, this Sunday, Matthew Thomas, Linda Kay, the man they call Meathead, will be bringing you the brand new draft special. We'll be broadcasting at 11 Eastern, 10 Central. We'll be live on all of the feeds. We'll be live on the, what are we live on? We're on the Facebook. We're live on the YouTube. We're live on the, I don't know what else we're going to be live on. We'll figure it out. But again, announcing the official time
we
this
can be live
Sunday.
On Twitter as well.
We're going to have to figure out live on Twitter as well. This might even be live on Twitch. I'll have to figure that out. This Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain for people like Matthew. We will be drafting our 2022/23 PWR fantasy teams. The defending champion, Matthew Thomas, myself, and Linda. Linda, I talked to Matthew. I've won it. Matthew's won it. This may be your year, Linda.
It is time for Team Long Time to excel to the top of the mountain. So, everyone, this upcoming Sunday, before you go on to your Mother's Day brunches, possibly, or just your Sunday fun days, your venture out for some NBA playoffs, tune in for the PWR Today 2022-23 Fantasy Draft. It will be tremendous and entertaining. I guarantee it.
Wow. I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm not defending champion anymore. That's the part I'm disgusted about. So, anyway, for Linda Kay, I'm the man they call Meathead. Linda, you and I will talk tomorrow morning, yeah?
Yes.
All right. For Matthew, Linda, the man they call Meathead, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.